So I've talked a little bit about this in a previous video about protein, where I said that not only vegans but many people on a normal standard Western diet are also prone to be protein deficient. And if I think about it, fat deficiency is probably a lot more common as well, as you might think. Now that sounds strange, especially coming from me, someone that does not necessarily promote a high fat diet. I promote a balanced diet. So why would I say that, compared to me, a vegan who does a balanced diet, most Westerners are deficient in something like fat? I mean, aren't most health problems from overconsumption of fat? Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that, and that's what I want to talk about today. So, first of all, I already addressed this previously, but when you're talking about protein, and you talk about the standard Western diet, what most people do is they will eat a serving of meat, they will drink a glass of milk, and they will eat a few sandwiches with peanut butter, jelly, whatever on them. And then at the end of the day, they might get 60 grams of protein. And they might even get less. I mean, hell, who knows? Maybe they're not even going to eat bread for that day. Maybe they're on a gluten-free diet. Then what? Then they might even get like 50 grams of protein, which is below the bare minimum of what you have to be healthy. So not only just like to be able to build muscle, no, simply to be healthy, most people need at least 60 grams. At least guys need that much. For women, it's a little less, and 60 grams would usually suffice for a woman. But it's still not a lot. I almost forgot that being shirtless gets me more views. So here I am, being shirtless again. Give me those views, baby. So, like I was saying, yeah, protein. So I have already explained that previously. I mean, compare that to me, someone who eats more than twice as much. I eat 120 grams of protein at least. Now, I'm an athlete. I do need a little bit more than the average person, and I've been lifting for a while, so of course, more is a little bit better for me. However, someone that does no activity at all will still benefit from more than the bare minimum of the RDA, okay? Not only is that RDA the bare minimum, it's not even the bare minimum for everyone, because it kind of goes on a... Damn it, I learned this in math class, but I completely forgot what it's called. Basically what I'm trying to say is that this bare minimum goes for 95% of all people. There is a 5% of people who probably just weigh more and just are like heavier people, taller people, that require more than this bare minimum of, 85 grams of protein. And again, a little bit more is better. I'd say that you should aim for 80 grams or something like that, and that's just to have like a more thriving life, be more healthy, be more energetic. A little bit more than the bare minimum, your body can get away with that, okay? It's not going to be bad for your kidneys or whatever. It will just give you more energy. It will just make you a more vibrant person. And then you have someone like me that eats even way more than that bare minimum and eats twice as much and is still all fine. Now, as for fat, I mean, that one probably doesn't make sense to a lot of people. Okay, listen. So when we think about fat consumption, we have to think about, what do most people eat? Again, they might eat a serving of meat, they might eat a few pieces of bread, and who knows, they might eat some dairy products, and yeah, they will get some fat. But how much fat are they really getting? I mean, think about what bodybuilders do, for example. They will eat a lot of lean chicken meat. I mean, that's not enough fat. There's barely any fat in there. And how much fat do you really need? I mean, there is kind of like this idea of like, oh, if you go over 20 grams of saturated fat, you're setting yourself up for heart disease. Okay, maybe, but through those recommendations, people are going to restrict as much fat as possible. And that will lead to not only them restricting fats like saturated fat, but they will also get more fat from vegetable oils or fats from things like grains, which are high in omega-6. And if you're going to compare omega-6 to saturated fats, you probably are better off with some heart disease causing saturated fats, because omega-6s are actually really fucking bad for you, especially if you overconsume them. And most people that, you know, eat at McDonald's or wherever, they get a lot of you know, they eat like a hamburger, but that is like lean meat, you know, that is like cow meat, and there's like 7 grams of fat in that patty, and it's nothing. It's nothing. The most of the fat in that hamburger is coming from omega-6s, which is inflammatory causing fats. So you don't get enough fat if you don't eat fatty sources of food, which for me it's very easy. Despite being a vegan, it's easy for me because I eat things like nuts and avocados, which are, you know, especially like macadamias and coconuts, those are the most dense sources of fat that you can eat. So there's even like more dense than meat, even more dense than pork meat and shit like that. So I get enough fat, but most bodybuilders that are, you know, eating a certain diet, a high protein diet, they will eat a lot of chicken breasts and therefore will end up being technically fat deficient. Now, we do need some omega-6s, but the thing is we completely overconsume it, especially Westerns. No, I guess like worldwide, we are now prone to overconsume on omega-6s. I think vegans can have like all the way up to like 20 times the amount of what is like considered safe. So, yeah, there's definitely a problem there. Another reason why some vegans simply don't thrive is just the overconsumption of certain bad fats. And like I said, even if you're like an omnivore, you can still overconsume these bad fats. And it's the fats like monounsaturated and saturated fats that you need to build up your body. I mean, omega-6 is not going to be used by your body as a building block, okay? It simply is a fat that's necessary to cause inflammation. And it's important that the body can cause inflammation, but, you know, you do need these other fats as well. Our society is sick, is seriously sick. More and more people are getting cancer, diabetes, and a part of society likes to blame it on fat intake. I mean, another part of society wants to blame it on sugar. Sure, good topic for another video. But the thing is with fat, lots of us are restricting fat intake. And if we do eat fat, we eat rapeseed oil because we think that that is oh so healthy. I mean, at least there's no saturated fat in there, so that's the way to go. And it's funny because those oils, it has been proven that there is a direct correlation between oils like rapeseed oil or sunflower oil, that these fats will increase your inflammation to levels where it is simply not healthy. And inflammation means, you know, your arteries will be damaged, and that will eventually lead to more serious things like heart disease or diabetes or whatever. You know, there's so many things you can get from inflammation, which is usually where it all begins. It begins with inflammation. And of course, you know, there are more reasons why you can get inflammation. It's not like one thing, but this is certainly one of the many reasons you can get it. And it's, you know, it's just adding oil to the fire. And I know that it might sound strange. I mean, it might sound like straight up crap what I'm saying here now, because we all know people that eat tons of meat and eat tons of fat and eat a lot of butter on the bread, and you know, you wouldn't say that those people would be deficient in fat, would you? No, I wouldn't. That's the thing. Society is kind of diverse, and you probably cannot, like I said, blame all health issues on one thing. I mean, the fact that a certain part of the population eats, you know, drinks a lot of vegetable oils, doesn't mean that this goes for all of society. It simply means that a part of society doesn't consume enough fats or doesn't consume enough protein. I mean, the people, for example, that eat a lot of chicken breasts, of course they're going to get enough protein, but they will be lacking in fat. And, you know, maybe you have a lot of people that like to smear butter on their bread and do some crazy stuff with their diet, and those people might get enough fat, but they might not get enough protein. Every individual has to look critically at their diet and see what they're missing or what they are over consuming. And I'm not just saying this for nothing. I mean, there is a reason why I think that most people, or well, not most, but a good part of society is not consuming enough fat or protein. And the reason for that is that I simply see what my friends eat and drink. I see what my family eats and drinks, and I can simply say, despite that they eat meat and despite that they might eat cheese or something, I can simply observe that what they eat in a day, it might not be enough. They might get like no more than 50 grams of protein, which I already told you. That's even below the minimum recommendation of the RDA, which the RDA should be higher anyway. Yeah, that's a problem. And you think that those people, you know, you think that my friends who love to drink alcohol and have like a beer belly, you think that they think that their problems might stem from not consuming enough fat? No way, of course not. So the bottom line is, make sure you're getting all your macros. And not only that you're hitting all your macros, make sure that the quality of those macros are on point. Don't compare fruits with table sugar. Don't compare macadamia nuts with flax seeds. Make sure you get on quality, point, top-notch nutrition. And it doesn't matter if you're vegan, it doesn't matter if you eat meat. Just be aware of what you eat and that you get sufficient nutrition. I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. I realized that I forgot to mention the most important thing. How much fat and how much protein do you need? Well, what we see in the case of fat is that hormonal health works the best with 20 to 30% of our maintenance calories coming from fat. When it comes to protein, optimal muscle synthesis happens, and like optimal muscle synthesis, right? So like lower than that can work as well, is about 0.8 grams per pound of lean body mass. Lean body mass, that is. So you have to, you know, you have to take away your fat percentage from your total body mass. So for me, for example, it's actually less than 120 grams, but that's what I consume. So yes, make sure that you're hitting those macros. And now, with that being said, I thank you all for watching and see you all in the next video.